Okay. Well, my name is Ed Silsbe. I'm a deacon here at Blue Point Bible Church. And when Mike asked for folks here at the church to put their hands up and say, "Hey, I'd like to offer a testimony," I said, "Sure, I'll put my hand up. I'll offer a couple of tidbits and call it a night." And a couple of weeks later, I spotted a little preliminary on our program, and I had a half hour. Gee, thanks, Mike. So just a little bit about me before I start. Nearly 60 years on the planet now, the last 25 or so walking with my Lord and Savior. I came up with very little in the way of Christian foundation. Honestly, I've been to a couple of churches maybe as a kid, not much more. Really didn't like it, getting dragged. My dad wouldn't drive us there, so I had to walk on those hot summer days for church, so it wasn't very fun. And kind of stepped away from it, very shortly after that. To the meat of what I'm talking about, I firmly believe that preterism, fulfilled eschatology, consistent Christianity, whatever you might call it, has oftentimes been misapplied and too often seen as an end point. I enjoy backpacking, mountain climbing. It's an adventure. And I know, I don't have to be proud about it, but I know that I need the proper tools. The purpose of my adventures is not the tools. The tools allow me to accomplish the adventure. So certainly with the weather we have out there today, some of these things might seem very handy. I've got this little sinister looking device. Helps you climb up some of the icy slopes. Gonna settle down in a tent. You want a nice flashlight. This kind of fits on your head. Really handy. And of course, with the weather out there tonight, a good pair of basic gloves. Handy tools, absolutely. I'm confident that preterism can certainly be a very useful tool. It must be one of the many tools that we have in our toolkit that give us the ability for a lifelong adventure of climbing with Jesus up to heaven's tableland. So, again, Mike, let everybody know in the program. I didn't expect to see that I'm going to be presenting why I hate preterism, but it was supposed to be a surprise. So, why do I hate preterism? One of the things is here, I can't just lean back and say that my Bible is certainly too complicated. Who can ever make sense out of it? Preterism allows me to make my Bible knowable. I can't just simply answer a question with, well, my church says, or the pastor says. No, I must look deeper, and I find that it can make sense. Once I couldn't help but see that God had broken time clocks. God's long list of prophetic timelines certainly had problems. Preterism shows me that, in fact, God can tell time. I know now why 25 years ago, about half this church left 2 or 3 weeks after I started attending. I was like, whew, it wasn't me. It was a polite, ever so polite, eschatological debate going on in the church. So that was a surprise. It took me a while to figure out what it was all about, but I think I've just about gotten there. One of the things I certainly miss is when I open up the book of Revelation, I can't find those helicopter locusts anymore. I certainly have difficulty finding that 1,500 square mile cube city dropping out of the sky someday. Okay, and again, mountain climbing, you get above 10,000 feet, we're talking 1,500 miles, you have trouble breathing. So, because of preterism's outlook, though, I know certainly that not even one real star is going to fall to Earth, but plenty of human stars have and will fall. I can't look at that millennial kingdom so many talk about as only lasting 1,000 years. Hey, it's here now, it lasts forever. It's tough to see the Catholic's Pope as an antichrist anymore. Heck, which one? Francis, even, I'd say, is a nice guy. Some might even call him a Christian. I used to be able to open my Bible, watch the news, and I used to do this when I first started entering Christianity. Today is actually in my Bible. Not anymore. Preterism shows me that it wasn't written to me. It's for me, not written to me. I used to be able to dismiss Paul, John, Matthew, and their end-time views. Many preachers have said and today say they only saw the mountaintops, no valleys. Preterism shows that I can trust their words, and even that guy who talks in red, that's something, it's called an Edism. Don't get me started on the isms. That's a whole other thing beyond preterism. Yes, Edisms. I've even been accused of hyper-preterism. Put hyper on anything and look out. Pastor Miano back there, hey, the guy's got 4 cats? Clearly he's into hyper-felinism. Sounds, terrible, terrible. One of today's very popular Roman Catholic apologists was asked about this silly thing called preterism. It turns out he is a preterist. Well, you might call him, now that he's come to view Catholicism as having a valid part of his eschatology, you'd call him a partial preterist. He's done a great series on the book of Revelation. So we'll talk to you about that later. I've shared my Christian faith with a few Muslims over the years. And when we have time to talk, maybe to the gas station guy, they tell me about Muhammad having to return. And his primary purpose was to fix Christianity's problems. One of the biggies that I've heard a couple of them tell me about is that, hey, in the Bible, Jesus promised a soon return. Guys, clearly you got it wrong. You Christians even say he got it wrong. Absolutely, preterism can fix that. Doesn't fix everything, but it certainly fixes that one. Talk to the average Christian about preterism and concepts contained within preterism. You'll see more distrust than interest, but a deeper look into most other denominations you can find deep in their core is a preterist outlook. The learned scholars within many, many mainline denominations, it's right there. Now, for example, I know that I can break into every corner of my Bible. I absolutely have no excuse not to try. I really hate preterism. You can't be lazy. Okay, I'm going to come back around to this same theme. Call it consistent Christianity, fulfilled eschatology, preterism, whatever you want to call it. It forces you and me to step outside of the comfort zone. To that point, here's a bit of wisdom from nearly 200 years ago. True then, true now. I'm going to read a few selections from Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, Self-Reliance. Just like we need to take careful look at writings from thousands of years ago, that's what our Bible is. The language has changed a bit. You'd be surprised how much since 1841. So pay attention. I'm gonna have to read this a little closely because no matter how many times I've read these things, I stumble. But here goes. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson speaking. The objection to conforming to usages that have become dead to you is that it scatters your force. It loses your time and blurs the impression of your character. If you maintain a dead church, contribute to a dead Bible society. I might say, without an honest read of our Bibles, they can feel that way, dead, or an exciting end-time novel. We've seen a lot of that. Here, back to Emerson. For nonconformity, the world whips you with its displeasure, and therefore a man must know how to estimate a sour face. I say, with preterism, you're going to see a lot of sour faces. It's inevitable. Continuing with Emerson. The other terror that scares us from self-trust is our consistency, a reverence for our own past act or word because the eyes of others have no other data for computing our orbit than our past acts, and we are loath to disappoint them. I say, anytime we re-examine our world or kingdom view, they're going to say, I don't know who you are. We've all heard that. The last piece here, this is a big part. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in harsh words again. Though it contradict everything you said today, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. It is so bad, then, to be misunderstood. Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton. Every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. That was Emerson. I'll close with a little bit here. Lastly, well, by now you might understand that I'm into such things as mountaineering. Probably would rather find myself out on a mountain trail right now than standing up here doing some public speaking. The weather's great, and honestly, this upstate right now, it's a little less snow, and this makes an incredible experience. My dog would be very disappointed if she knew I was considering going upstate. The weather's great, but I'm here talking about preterism. I really hate preterism.